Syrian sovereignty, but had a semi-autonomous region up there, you might find some peace with that if Syria would guarantee that they're not going to have incursions across the border into Turkey, which means everybody needs to be at the table having this discussion.
Very quickly, the president at the same time this week quietly sent more troops to Saudi Arabia and claims that the Saudis are going to pay for those troops. Are you comfortable with the U.S. military being treated almost like a mercenary force for the Saudis?
I'm not. In fact, I would withhold troops and arms from the Saudis until we see better behavior. I think that our arms are uniquely belong to the American people and that we shouldn't be sending them to the Saudis until we see a change in their behavior. But it's inconsistent to say we're not going to be there for endless, senseless wars and then to have them in Saudi Arabia. One of the things that bin Laden said motivated him, it's not a justification, obviously. It was terrible and he got what he deserved. But one of the things he said that motivated him were troops in what they consider to be their holy land. And so I think having troops in Saudi Arabia becomes a magnet for all the crazy jihadists around the world to motivate them to attack again.
On the issue of impeachment and what's been going on, I'm curious, are you disturbed at all by the role Rudy Giuliani's been playing as a private citizen here, possibly dabbling in foreign affairs in ways that, frankly, is now being investigated, but there seemed to be almost like a shadow foreign policy that he might have been running. Does that bother you at all?
I think what's interesting about this is both sides seem to be doing the same thing. If anything is consistent here, it's that both parties have tried to involve themselves in Ukraine. So, for example, 4 senators, Democrats, wrote a letter to the Ukrainian government and said, if you don't keep investigating Trump, we may reconsider our bipartisan support for your aid. Both parties seem to be doing this, and that's why I think ultimately the American people are going to say, they're going to throw up their hands and say, well, Biden threatened the aid, you know, Menendez threatened the aid, Murphy threatened the aid.
I understand that they could get gaslit and think that it's all equal and both sides of it. But I'm talking about specifically.
I mean, it's an argument. I think it is an argument that they're both doing the same thing.
Well, then didn't 2 wrongs make a right?
Well, what I would do is I wouldn't give them any aid. I wouldn't give them any aid because we don't have any money. We're borrowing that money from China to send it to Ukraine. So I disagree with trying to manipulate them in any way. I just wouldn't give them the aid, period. I wouldn't say you get the aid if you do X for me.
Right.
I would say we don't have the money. Let's take care of stuff at home. Let's build roads and bridges in America, not over there.
Are you comfortable with the role Rudy Giuliani's been playing on behalf of the president?
I don't really know enough about what he's doing. I knew he traveled over there to try to seek information on Hunter Biden's corruption. I think a lot of Americans see the $50,000 a month Hunter Biden was making, and it doesn't pass the smell test. I think most people do think there was some corruption involved with Hunter Biden, and I hope we do get to the bottom of it.
All right, I see that you wanted to get that in there. So you think it's perfectly legitimate for the president to use his personal attorney to go to a foreign country and seek help for a political campaign?
I think it's equally as legitimate as the Democrats going there and saying, hey, we should investigate Trump. They really did. Menendez and 4 other senators
They were talking about Paul
letter.
Manafort, who was doing some shady business, who's now in jail for the business he was doing.
But Democrat senators did the same thing. Well, here's the thing is, if you're going to condemn Trump, you need to condemn the Democrat senators. It shouldn't be just one-sided. Everybody's going after President Trump. Someone needs to actually, in an objective way, evaluate a letter from 4 Democrats that said to Ukraine, if you don't keep investigating Trump, we will reconsider our bipartisan support for aid. That's a threat, and that's the same kind of stuff they're accusing Trump of, but nobody's talking about that the Democrats are doing exactly the same thing.
Unfortunately, I'm out of time. Senator Rand Paul, good luck with your new book. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back, my sit down with President Trump's first Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis, and what he has to say about the U.S. withdrawal from northern Syria.